part of the wing in the lines.
Yeah.
You can maybe hit like the stabilo line here, you can, you know, do different kinds of stuff with the brake, but the best is basically to do a back fly, because the back fly, the wing is flying backward, it's taking out the material out of the lines. When you do like now, there's two ways how we can do a normal stall, right? So, well, two ways, it's just pulling the brake, so it's basically one way, but usually you can go either slowly down, that's what you can do as a beginner, because then it's really getting heavy, like I can barely pull it. I need to put my weight on it. Now is a sack fluke, you can feel you're falling down. When you put hands from a sack fluke, the shooting is not so big. You see, the shooting was super easy. Comparing, for example, the shooting we had from a helicopter. So when you go further behind, so now we're gonna do again the same. We're braking. Now it's getting too close to minimum speed. Now I'm putting my hands behind. So this is the sack fluke, or you go behind and now you start flying backwards. You can maybe feel it, and when you release in a good way, you also don't have a shoot, but when you release in a bad way, you will have a terrible shoot. You can also do it really fast and you get a big shoot. And if you don't direct it, then you will fall in the wing, basically. Another thing that you can do is you can do negative to turn. And one interesting part is when you do this back fly, usually it's really good to do it seeing the mountain from where you're like doing it, let's say with headwind in the butt, because like this you're gliding against the wind. So now when I'm gonna do the back fly, you will see I'm going for another back fly. Okay, now we're stable. You see the tiny ears inside?
Yeah.
Now it's stable, and we're flying backward, and you can always with your eyes look forward to see the cliff, and you can see your position because you're flying away from it like this now. So this is the key to understand, and when you have it stable, you're basically gliding backwards. I can make a little turn to glide sideways. I can make even a bit more turn and exit against the wind. So for you to be, let's say, really a safe pilot, complete pilot, if you don't master these positions, on the wing you fly, you will always be flying with higher risk, obviously, that anything can happen to you. You see it's like 3 meters up here.
So the risk is
very much higher if you don't manage these regimes of your wing, because these regimes, when you master them, you're basically the master of the wing. Before you don't understand, you don't feel the wing in a certain way, right? So it's very hard for you to understand when the wing is talking with you through the pressure. 5 meters here, it goes like a rocky day.
We haven't really understood the physics of why we fly back.
Why? Because the trailing edge gets behind, and we don't have forward speed anymore. The weight is hanging on the back lines. Now at the moment the weight is hanging 70% more or less on the A lines, maybe 20% or 60% A lines, 20% B line. I had to correct that, otherwise it would collapse. Nothing, but I had to, you know, do, because there was a turbulence, so the wing wanted to collapse. It's more something that you feel, you could feel a little bit like a little wobble.
And you just break it.
Yeah, you break it, because what happens is the wing is getting first, for example, out of pressure, and there is no pressure break, and then the pressure mounts very highly because the wing is shooting in front, and then you kind of break it so that this is part of the active piloting. But the active piloting, even if million people will try to explain it to you, because there is a way to explain it, it's impossible to learn it without flying. It's just something that you need to automate, because you cannot do it mechanically. It has to come out of the flying hours. There is no way. It's like with helicopters too. Acro pilot comes to me and say, I don't know why, but my helicopters are not stable. And usually the only thing you can do is tell him to fly more helicopters, because there's no other way. You know, you can tell him, okay, put the weight on the side. So for example, when we were doing helicopters together now, I was putting the weight a lot on this side, but I felt your weight really on the other, because it's normal, because you are just sitting there, right? And I have more weight to work with than if I'm flying alone. So it depends on the wing, but usually to centrify and stabilize the helicopter, you put the weight on a certain part of the wing. It gives you more pressure and better spinning. So basically what we were talking about before was the backfly, and you asked me why it's flying backwards. So when you look now up, so we're breaking the wing, right? So now the pressure is still there on the front, but look at this line here, which is hanging loose, the D line, okay? And look, when I go into the tail slide, it's gonna get pressure. Now the energy of us is on the back lines. It was a bit rowdy, but now I'm stabilizing it. You see, I'm stabilizing it. Now I'm having it nicely stable. I'm gliding towards the mountain. That's something that you always have to take into account, but this time I won't because I flew far in front. From this regime, you can get the crevettes out because of the backfly, like I told you. From this regime also, you can go to a helicopter like this. And then you can stop it. And you can go to a helicopter to the other side, heli to heli, checking the altitude, exiting, going for more altitude. So when you get in tune with your wing, that you can do these things, and of course to be perfect, to do it with every wing, etc., it takes many hours. But the basics is not so hard. It's good to do this water training, the 665, FIV and whatever.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you get out of the backfly? You just release
Just
the
put
brakes?
your hands up. But the problem is that in the backfly, the wing has a certain like vibration movement, you could call it. And with this vibration, if you release when the wing goes in the back, then it's gonna get a big shoot. If you release if you look at your wing and you see these movements, if you release the moment when the glider is really above your head, there's barely any shoot. And that's also one reason why the security trainings people get into trouble, because to make this stall is quite hard. And there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of things that make it look so easy now, but when you're there and you pull it on your own, it's different. And then you release in the wrong moment, and the glider is really aggressive. Any glider can get so much inertia. Even the big gliders, no, it doesn't have to be an acro, right? So it's very important to always in this backfly. First of all, if you do the security training, you have to keep in mind that this SID above water will give you probably around 10 stalls on the maximum during the whole course. And for mastering the stall, you need to do around 200, 250. Standard. You will hear 250 from different. So when you then do let's say 2 years, one, and then another year, the second one. Then after the second one, or even after the first one, the key is actually to go above water and practice slow. So we're here. How are you feeling?
A little bit sick.
Sick? A lot or little? So let's fly straight and get in. We're now 40 meters in the air. It was also quite a lot of bubbly, helicopter-stally things. So people